Good evening and welcome to tonight's City of Burnside Council meeting of August the 20th, 2024. Please stand if you are able and remain silent during the acknowledgements. We acknowledge the land we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people and that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the original custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the Kaurna people today. We welcome other First Nations people to our meeting. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I gratefully acknowledge and pay respect to all those who have sacrificed their lives for this country and its people. We also consider in our thoughts all those who today are being affected by war around the globe, and especially those in Ukraine and the Middle East. We seek guidance in our debate as we make decisions that will impact on the lives of all who reside, study, work in or visit the City of Burnside. Grant us wisdom as we serve our community. Thank you. You may sit down. Just some reminders before we start. Please turn off your mobile phone and not use it during the meeting. Use your microphone speak button if you wish to speak and wait until you have been acknowledged to do so. Turn off your microphone when you have finished speaking, and when I read out the reports for withdrawal for debate, please use your speak button immediately if you wish to withdraw an item for debate. Otherwise, I will be seeking a mover and a seconder so that I can put the motion as recommended. We have now up to number 6, absences. There are 3 apologies this evening from Councillor Henschke, Councillor Turnbull and Councillor Zing. Declaration of interest, the reminder will be relevant just prior to any of the reports. Confirmation of minutes, I seek a mover. Councillor Davey, you're moving.
Move it.
Councillor Wilkins, you're seconding.
Yes.
All those in favour? Against? Carried. We have no adjourned business or public presentations this evening, and I wish, under the indulgence of the meeting, to bring forward urgent business just before we go through the reports. So if there's no opposition to that, the urgent business, of course, relates to the resignation of the CEO. I don't want to leave it till the very last end of the meeting because it may be rushed and inappropriately handled at that time. So unless there's no objection, I wish to make a statement on this business. I seek leave of the meeting to bring forward this urgent business. I would like to formally advise the Council that I received written notification on the 15th of August 2024 that the Chief Executive Officer, Mr Chris Cowley, has tendered his resignation effective from close of business on the 15th of November 2024. On behalf of the City of Burnside, I would like to thank him for all of his work over the past 4.5 years in providing guidance, leadership and assistance to the council members and the community, and of course the staff. Chris will be completing his tenure on the 15th of November. However, he will be with us only for the next 6 weeks until Friday, October the 4th, and then taking his entitled 6 weeks accrued leave until the 15th of November. The CEO Review Committee will meet next Thursday to discuss the way forward. That's all I have to say at this point in time, and can't answer questions at this point unless we go into confidence. So if you have any queries at any time, please just call me or send me an email. Otherwise, you will receive some information once the CEO committee meets next Thursday night. Now I will go through the reports. The first one being 11.1, the Ombudsman's report, page 5. Councillor Harvey, you wish to withdraw it?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, lost my pen. The proposed ERA water model. I don't see anyone on my screen. Councillor Cornish, are you moving it?
Yes.
Seconded by Councillor Dawes. So I will put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Appointment of the presiding member to the Council Assessment Panel. Councillor Dawes, you wish to withdraw it? the Chief Executive Officer Performance Plan. You need to press your button, please. Councillor Hallett, you wish to withdraw it? Marrickville Precinct Master Plan. Councillor Davey, you're withdrawing it? Beaumont Common Management Plan. Councillor Jones, you withdrawing?
Please.
Dog and Cat Management Plan for Tusmore Wading Pool. I have no one on the screen, so I seek a mover. Councillor Cornish, seconded Councillor Dawes. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Community Gardens Policy Review. I have no one on the screen. I seek a mover. Councillor Cornish, seconded Councillor Hallett. All of those in favour? Against? Carried. Climate Change Policy Review. No one on the screen. I seek a mover. Councillor Jones, are you moving this?
No, withdraw it.
No, you wish to withdraw it. You nearly missed out. Mayor Monceau Activity Report. Councillor Harvey, you wish to withdraw it?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Chief Executive Officer's Report. Councillor Davey. Right, so we shall now go back to 11.1, the Ombudsman's Report, and I will declare that I have a general conflict of interest because as Mayor I was provided the opportunity to comment on the Ombudsman's preliminary report prior to its finalisation. I will be remaining as presiding member and voting if necessary. I believe there are a number of others who have to make declarations. So, Councillor Harvey, you're next.
Yes, I also have a general conflict of interest, as I mentioned in this complaint. However, I'll be staying in my seat to speak to the motion. Thank you.
Councillor Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a material conflict of interest. I will stay and, with the indulgence of Council, make a statement as required in the report, and then I'll vacate for the discussion and debate, if I may.
Councillor Hallett.
I wish to declare that I have a general conflict of interest in this item, as I am named in the Ombudsman report as a person whom Councillor Davey has stated that she disclosed confidential information to. I am proposing to participate in the meeting in relation to this matter and to vote because I believe I'm able to participate and vote objectively and in the best interests of the City of Burnside.
Thank you. You're checking on something? Okay, all okay? Okay. Right. Councillor Davey.
Thank you. I wish to ask for Council's indulgence to make a statement as has been required in the report. Am I able to do that?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I'll proceed then. As the Ombudsman, I acknowledge the investigation and the report by the SA Ombudsman, and the report is detailed in outline in our papers tonight. This matter is, I believe, a continuation of business arising following the assault I experienced at the Exeter Council election. Vote count on the 12th of November.
Okay.
I wish to state that I had nothing to do with disclosure to the media in respect of the matter of the CCTV footage in April 2023, the subject of this report, and the Ombudsman has found, as has been detailed in her comprehensive report, that there is insufficient information in the complaint to suggest that my error in showing the footage to my colleagues amounts to misconduct. As I advised the Ombudsman, I disclosed the CCTV footage in question, which shows my verbal and physical assault, to my lawyer, SAPOL for the purpose of reporting my assault, council staff, and Councillors Harvey and Hallett. I believe this subsequent complaint is a continuation of the harassment and persecution I have been exposed to since I experienced the assault at the council election vote count on the 12th of November 2022 by a person very close to the Mayor, and this appears to be a concerted effort to discredit me. The Ombudsman has explicitly found, at paragraph 78 on page 28 of the agenda papers, that my conduct, while breaching integrity provisions, has not met the threshold for, I quote, an intentional and serious breach of a code of conduct to amount to a finding of misconduct. It is indeed ironic that with the emphasis on safety and respect for each other, and the undoubted need for respectful standards of behaviour in the community and on council, which I fully support, this apology provides an opportunity to provide some perspective and to highlight and record how unfortunate it was that I, as a candidate for Burnside Council election, was not safe when I entered the South Australian Electoral Commission controlled vote count site in the Burnside Civic Centre on the 12th of November 2022 to check the progress of the mayoral count and to establish when the vote count for the councillors would be undertaken. This was the 6th council election I had run in at Burnside, and before this date it was the usual practice of many years at our council for candidates to visit the count site and check the posted results and progress of what has always been a democratic and transparent Burnside Council election process, accessible in this way. The count site was a new location at Burnside, but on this day I was admitted by an extra officer and the assault occurred. It was a very distressing experience at a poorly organised electoral count site. Following this incident, this person made a code of conduct complaint against me. The investigation around this is noted by the Ombudsman on page 18 of the report, and this produced the CCTV footage of this incident, which was what Council was considering in the report on the 11th of April. I have been honoured to be elected by my...
Sorry, Councillor Davey, but I have given you...
I've got a couple more paragraphs.
No, you have already exceeded your time.
I have to read my apology.
No, I'm sorry that I
Could I have
been...
the indulgence of Council, please, to read 2 more paragraphs? This is a requirement of the Ombudsman, with respect.
I seek a mover and a seconder for an extension of time. Councillor Harvey, you're moving? Seconded by Councillor Wilkins?
Yes.
Thank you. May I continue?
Sorry, all those in favour? Those against? I have a casting vote on this, and my casting vote is going to be to vote against it.
I'm just getting to my apology, with respect, which I have to make on the Ombudsman's orders.
You will be given an opportunity once you return for after the debate to do the apology. Yeah, I seek a mover for the motion. That is, no, I need Councillor Harvey as the person who is wishing to speak. So because you withdrew it for debate.
Thank you. It seems ironic that here is Councillor Davey, a Burnside councillor and a woman, was assaulted, apologising to myself and Councillor Hallett for the showing of CCTV footage of an assault she received at the hands of a male scrutineer. The assault on Councillor Davey on election day by this man was no secret. It occurred in a public place, being Burnside Council. I was a witness to this assault, and I was an innocent witness to this assault. There were other witnesses present, including electoral officers who saw this occur. There was a police report of this assault. No man has the right to place their hands on a woman without their permission. This is called assault. An assault on a woman on Burnside Council premises has no place in Burnside Council. It has no place anywhere. Since that day, there has been a toxic, nasty and hateful culture infiltrate Burnside Council. It cannot be supported nor tolerated. This culture needs to be stamped out and stopped. This toxic culture has resulted in dividing council, creating angst and resentment, and impeding council to achieve goals in working for our community. At this moment, it is now shameful that this council has been subjected to embarrassment and hatred with a complaint by a complainant to the Ombudsman. It would appear in this case the complainant's intent in this case is to bring Burnside Council into disrepute. As councillors, we need to unite and be given the opportunity of moving forward collaboratively and with respect. As councillors, we have tried to implement a sounder set of values in our behavioural policy to be supported and upheld. We need sound leadership going forward to be able to put this toxicity behind us so we can move forward and focus our energies on working for our community. Council does not have the ability to determine its own remedies for Councillor Davey. Under the LGA Council Act, it's required to act as recommended by the Ombudsman, which must be implemented. We need to be able to be allowed to move forward now without further hateful allegations and interruptions. Thank you.
Councillor Harvey, you haven't moved the motion as recommended. You haven't moved the motion.
Yes, I have.
It was at the beginning?
I did.
All right, okay, sorry, we both missed it, so apologies. Councillor Wilkins, you're seconding?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I'm very happy to support Councillor Harvey in this matter against Councillor Davey. Councillor Davey has acknowledged the error that occurred on that particular day, and I have asked her, and she is totally in agreement with issuing an apology at a public council meeting and attending the recommended training on confidentiality obligations. And I think this is a fitting end to actually remove the stain of this matter from this council. We need to resolve this issue and put it to bed, and let's move on. And for this matter, I'm happy to support Councillor Harvey in this matter.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Councillor Hallett.
I just wanted to make a statement that I wanted to make it absolutely clear that I did not contact the advertiser, and I have never had any contact with any media source since I've been elected to council. And I just wanted that completely clear because it isn't clear in the report as to who contacted the media. It wasn't me.
Anyone else who wishes to speak? Right, I'll put the motion then. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Mr. Cant, could you Councillor Davey, you may now make your apology.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I wish to apologise unreservedly to my colleagues Councillor Joe Harvey and Councillor Kerry Hallett for prematurely showing them the CCTV footage of my verbal and physical assault on Council Election Day, 12th of November, by a person close to the Mayor prior to the Council meeting on 11th of April 2023, which was to consider the Code of Conduct complaint associated with the incident, which I assume was made by the bully involved. I accept that I cannot decide how confidential information, as defined by Council, is to be treated, even in the case of a fellow councillor who is also subject to the confidentiality requirement, and I understand my error in showing the footage to my colleagues. I am scheduled to undertake the further training required next Monday, and I thank Council's Director Corporate, Matt Spearman, for arranging this for me with an approved provider. This Ombudsman's investigation has been a burden I have carried for many months in confidence, and as late as July the 17th, just before the report was received and finalised, I was even advised that a report had been made to the Ombudsman that I had disclosed information about the investigation to Councillor Harvey in breach of the confidentiality provisions. I believe this was quite malicious, and the Ombudsman's Office accepted my reassurance that this was not the case. This assault and investigation has taken its toll on my health and welfare, and I thank my lawyer, plus my colleagues, family and friends who have supported me through this difficult time without me actually being able to tell them of the Ombudsman's investigation. Thank you for the opportunity tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we've already voted, so we don't require anything. Okay, we now move to 11.2. Sorry,
Excuse
11.3.
me. I'd just like to acknowledge.
No, you have
the
no right to speak again. No, you have no right to speak again.
I am thanking Councillor.
No, you do not have any right to speak again.
I am thanking Councillor Davey for her apology.
You do have no right to speak again. I've said it 3 times. Now we move to 11.3, the appointment of the presiding member of the Council Assessment Panel. Councillor Dawes. Excuse me, members of the gallery must remain quiet at all times. Thank you.
Moving on to 11.3, which refers to the appointment of the presiding member to the Council Assessment Panel. I've just written some notes and I'm going to talk after that. So I wish to move the officer's recommendation to reappoint Anthony Kelly for a further 2 years. As the council representative on CAP, I, with Councillor Wilkins, who's my very able proxy delegate, have the most regular contact with Mr Kelly of all the councils. So this is the reason why I think that I should talk tonight. Look, I acknowledge and respect his ability as a chair of the panel, which only deals with the most difficult matters in planning. And I will tell you, we have some very difficult ones in the past and coming up in the present. Look, I feel he treats applicants and residents appropriately, and while we may not agree on every matter, he is fair and reasonable in his assessments of each of the applications. Anthony's been in the place as chair for 2 years, and I always think that unless he's doing a very, very bad job, which he's not, then I believe we should give him another 2 years. He is well respected not only through the panel members but also through the staff. I can't say much more. I'll leave it to others to ask any questions, but I do fully support the recommendation.
Councillor Cornish, you're seconding. Do you wish to speak now?
I'll reserve, thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Councillor Jones?
Look, colleagues, I think this is unfinished business. We got very, very close to reducing the numbers on the cap to 3 people. And this is a golden opportunity to make good on that and to increase councillors' relative voting power. Look, I can't. I've been to a few CAP meetings. I can't speak about. I'm not speaking about Mr. Kelly personally, because it's not about him. It's about the principle that we have the opportunity to increase the weight of Burnside ratepayers and residents on this committee, and we should take the opportunity to do so. So I hope you'll vote against this motion, and I'll put an alternative motion up to reduce the numbers on the cap to 3.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. I tend to support Councillor Jones in terms of wishing to, we were in a position to be able to increase our numbers on the panel to increase our influence, but I'm not sure that this is the right time to do it. Is this the optimal time, or can I have some clarification about that in terms of, or is there another way that we could do this, review this situation and increase our elected member numbers on the panel?
Through you, Madam Mayor, if this was something that Council wished to consider, I'd encourage you to consider it as a separate report and get a full briefing and information on the matter, rather than perhaps consider it on the fly, given that, I guess, the seriousness and the importance we place on this committee. That would be my advice, Madam Mayor.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Are you going to speak, Councillor Cornish? Will speak before I return to Councillor Dawes, and that is that Gawler, Town of Gawler, has been using only 3 people for this last 12 months, and the Mayor of Gawler has told me it has been very, very difficult because you have very reduced numbers of perspectives on the matter, as well as if you have someone sick, you end up with 2 people making those decisions. I'm not influencing this debate, I'm just giving you information based on the reality of a council that has trialled it and I believe will be changing it. So now I shall go back to Councillor Dawes.
Thank you, Mayor, and a good point made there, Councillor Davey. I don't think it is the right time. We're talking about a chair only, so we do need a chair of CAP. Now, as regards the principle that Councillor Jones has just been talking about, that really revolves around the other 2 members, the other 2 independent members, as to whether we wish to appoint 1 or 2. The Mayor has just given her view in regards to what's happened in Gawler. But to me, this is about the chair. We need a good chair. We have got a good chair. And if we wish to reduce further the number, that's a different report, a different discussion, a different debate.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Division's been called. Would you raise your hands if you wish to vote in favour? We start with Councillor Davey, Wilkins, Jennings, Hubel, Dawes, Hallett, Harvey and Henschke and Cornish. Sorry, Councillor Cornish. And those against, Councillor Jones. Now I'll move to item number 11.4 on page 70, the Chief Executive Officer Performance Plan, and that was you, Councillor Hallett.
Thank you. I'd like to move the motion with the following substitution. At point 2, endorses the CEO's 2024-25 performance plan, manage the to include manage the redevelopment of the Kensington Gardens Reserve Rugby and Cricket Club rooms to ensure the project is delivered within projected timeframe and within the allocated budget. Essentially, I want to ensure that that is added to the place KPIs.
Do you wish to have anything further to say, or I'll call for a seconder? Is there a seconder who's willing to support that? Thank you, Councillor Jennings. Do you wish to speak now? All right. I just want to say that I think it's a very good idea, and this came up since the CEO committee actually went out and started the discussions on the KPIs and KRAs, and it also, so therefore it was not considered because at that point in time, no decisions had been formally made on the Kensington Gardens Cricket and Rugby Club development. So I think it is actually a very good, I know I shouldn't be trying to persuade you, but I think it's an important consideration that at the time the CEO committee couldn't consider because it was not at that time decided upon. And unless people speak against it, we will wait and hear if anyone does not wish to have that included. Councillor.
A few questions if I could. Can I just confirm that this council is managing that project? From my understanding, it is actually being pushed by the clubs themselves. And number two, is it actually being planned to be completed and delivered and redeveloped within the next 12 months? Otherwise, maybe we might need to do a bit of rewording to manage the progress of rather than actually, saying that it might be completed.
Certainly that was my only concern too, because I can't see it finished within the 12 months, but I'll let the CEO comment on that.
Yeah, certainly through Mayor, I had turned my mind to that, and I was comfortable that you could get a progress report, but I'll just get Mr. Kent to talk to us about the management of the project. Thank you, Mr. Kent.
Through your worship, council resolution has set the parameters behind the project, which council and the clubs with the ward councillors are working very closely to. We'll continue to report that through the CEO report. It's very likely that the actual construction component of the project will be delivered by council, so we're just working on a governance arrangement with respect to that just now. That will be subject to us being comfortable with the governance arrangements in place. That will allow us to actually go to procurement for the contractor and actually control the build and the project itself. With respect to it being completed within the financial year, Councillor Cornish is correct. The estimated scheduled project start for build would be January, all going well with the DA process. And it's expected to be 12-month build, so it would be finishing in the next financial year.
Can I suggest a slight amendment just to the wording so that to ensure the project progresses within?
Yeah, manage the progress.
Manage the redevelopment, that's okay.
Manage the progress
manage the progress of the Kensington Rugby and Cricket Club rooms to ensure the project is delivered or progresses or continues to progress?
It can just be managed the progress of the redevelopment.
Okay.
So just,
Right.
just those extra few, if the mover and seconder...
No, I know that, but I just want to make sure that, first of all, did you get that written down? And secondly, of course, Councillor Hallett, are you happy with that alteration? Because it was your motion.
Well, I don't actually see that it says, my motion says within the projected timeframes. Projected timeframes starts in January, finishes in December. I think
technically it was included, yes.
So
just not in the KPIs for 24-25. Maybe they should be for next year.
And the reason I asked for it to be included is that it's a major project. We're contributing nearly $3 million to it, and it needs to be in the CPO's performance plan, and it's not currently.
Councillor Dawes, are you seconding this?
No, I can ask.
Sorry, Councillor Jennings, I apologise, I've just lost track here. So Councillor Jennings, you've seconded, but you wanted to hold the opportunity to speak. Councillor Dawes, you're next to speak then.
Right. so it's now manage the progress, and Councillor Jennings agreed with that, has he?
Councillor Jennings, you
Yeah.
okay with what it is now?
Yes.
Okay. Mine's a question, and I don't know if the CEO can answer this one, but these are KPIs for the current CEO, the acting CEO, and the next CEO. Am I correct in saying that?
Certainly, these will be my KPIs while I'm still on council, so we'll have conversations. My estimation is that the acting CEO would run with these, and then you'll have to have a conversation with the incoming CEO to reach an agreed set of KPIs, which may or may not be the same.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? I have an empty screen, hence I am likely to go back unless you wish to speak. I need to go back to Councillor Hallett. So. All right.
So I was rather sceptical when I received the email earlier today, but after listening to Councillor Hallett speak, I feel that they should be this development should be a part of the CEO's KPIs, and just ensuring that it doesn't turn in Kensington Gardens Reserve does not turn into a wasteland with shipping containers and fencing for months, which can often happen with developments. So I will be supporting this. Thank you.
And just one other item, it needs to go in, of course, under the place. All right, it's not in there in the motion, but I'm sure that staff are aware of the appropriate place for it to go. Thank you. All right, I'll put the motion. Oh, sorry, no, Councillor Hallett, you wish to speak? You are okay with me? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Councillor Jones, you not voting?
I did.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand. All right, all right, so the motion is carried anyway. I just didn't see it. All right, now we move to the next one, which is Councillor Davey, the Marrickville Master Plan, Precinct Master Plan. That is on page 94.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll move in accordance with the recommendation. And my main reason for pulling this was to thank the staff for all the work they've done to date. It's been a considerable amount of huge amount of research and preparation, and linking and liaising with the City of Norwood, Payneham and St Peters, Department of Infrastructure and Transport, and a whole lot of other ancillary issues. And what's so pleasing is that the public consultation has general support by 72% of the residents and ratepayers affected. So I think it's all been done very well to date. Been a lot of support. Everybody knows the area needs improvement, mainly for safety, pedestrian safety and traffic safety, improvement to its environmental side with some more trees, undergrounding of power lines. Just the whole area could be improved, and I think that would increase the business opportunities in the area, which are touch and go at the moment. So hopefully you'll support this. Thank you.
I seek a seconder. Councillor Harvey?
Yes, seconding. I reserve my right, thank you.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Councillor Jones?
I'm sorry, but it's a no from me. We cannot afford $15 million to improve the Marrickville precinct. I mean, look at our finances, people. They're pretty dire. And we've already got the Regal master plan lined up, which is that confidential how much it is? It's a lot. It's more than $1 million, quite a lot more. We've got other things out there that we know people are wanting us to spend new capital on. We can't just look at these things as they come up. We've got to employ some strategy as to what things we want to do and in what order. And we're being asked to approve spending $15 million that we don't have, that we have very little prospect of getting anytime soon. And I know Norwood will have a share of it, yeah, but let's be honest, they just spent $60 million on a swimming pool that they've got to finance somehow. There's no cost-benefit analysis. So what benefit am I getting from spending $15 million? I've got no idea. So why would I want to spend $15 million? And frankly, there's lots of other better things to spend money on. Could I look the residents of Beaumont Ward in the eye who are saying, we've got no footpaths, we've got no curbs, we don't have proper stormwater drainage, but you guys are going to spend $15 million beautifying Kensington Road, which is already perfectly adequate, to be honest, certainly compared to other areas in council area. So look, I'm sorry, it's too much. I look at the McGill Road one. God, you don't get a lot for your money, do you? It's just I can see nothing that would make me want to vote for it. So it's a no from me.
Councillor Dawes?
Yes, I have to agree with Councillor Jones here. I know he'll be surprised. I do first of all want to acknowledge the work that Aaron Schroeder and others have done here, you know, and it is not a criticism of what they've done. And I do acknowledge also there's a budget bid to be done, and therefore that's another decision for us coming up in March onwards. A couple of points, and when I saw on page 100 the cost, $15 million, Councillor Jones is right, but our share is $9 million. I didn't realise that when we first started on this project. So even if we get 50-50 funding from the federal government, as we did with the McGill Precinct Plan, we're still up for $4.5 million. And he is right about Norwood Paynham. You know, they've got a lot of money in one particular project. But also, once I saw that, and on Monday night, I came down Kensington Road at 5:15 p.m. I crossed Glenburn Road. It was red light, and the traffic was banked up as far as on the run, just before the Regal. And this is going to, the idea here is to be into one lane, etc. And I can sense that we probably need a further traffic report to see if this is going to work. The thing that I do like about the project, and always have, is having the Shipsters and Tusmore traffic lights integrated, right, and take away that pedestrian crossing, and I think that would really help, and we can do some nice work on that, and that would probably cost less than $1 million. But for $15 million, you know, even though our share is $9 million, I just can't support it at this time. I really can't.
Councillor Corn.
Well, I must be reading a completely different report, because the actual motion is to consider a budget bid to undertake a detailed design. It's not to actually do the work. It's to look at, it's putting a budget bid in the next year's process to consider whether or not we'll do a detailed design of it. Well, I think I'm quite happy to support it and to submit a budget bid in next year, so we've still got some opportunity to even pull out of designing it at a later stage. And obviously I'm very clear that we would need to get some sort of commitment from the City of Norwood, Paynham and St Peters as well, which, as Councillor Jones has actually highlighted, might be, you know, the thing that stops this project going ahead for some time. But I certainly think that we should actually endorse the plan and all the work that's been put into it. And I also think we should consider it next year as part of the budget bid if Norwood actually ponies up with some money. And we're talking about the detailed design work. We're not talking $15 million here. Like, the detailed design work is $600,000 to $800,000 is the bid that we're looking at next financial year. And only then, and that detailed design planning might take a year, might take two, depends what's underneath the ground over there and the stormwater and what needs to be rebuilt. and where we need to put trees and how, what the road base is and how do we have to dig that up so the trees don't die. There's lots of work that has to actually be done with that. That might take 2 years before we even come back and go, hey, we need $15 million. By then it's probably going to be $23 million because of inflation. But seriously, it's such a long process. It took us years to do McGill. I don't know what people are afraid of. This report does not commit us to anything apart from considering it next year for the detailed design work. So I'm supporting it. I don't know what everyone else is reading and scared about $15 million. That's far from what we're even discussing right here. So I'm going to support the motion.
Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you. I'm actually in agreement with Councillor Cornish. I think we do need to improve this intersection. When you have Shipsters meeting Kenzie, it is diabolical, and particularly with the number of people who are in that intersection: hotel, petrol station, Woolies, Regal, school children, the whole bit. It is wall-to-wall cars coming up and going down Kenzie Road. It needs attention. So yes, it will be pushed out because there's no way I'm voting for money to actually do the thing. We need to tap into state and federal monies, of course, and other portions of funds from other councils before. But let's go ahead and get the design correct and consulted with other councils before we do anything else, and that will be in the next budget year. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Councillor Jennings.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just go and put on my cycling cap, and I feel that this precinct should be investigated. I think Councillor Cornish and Councillor Dawes have enormous common sense. Actually, as I often call Councillor Dawes, Councillor Common Sense. We're just looking at the plan. We're not committing to $15 million, and we will be reaching out to state, federal, and whoever else wants to contribute. Who knows what it will be like in 3, 10 years, perhaps. This is not going to start tomorrow. This is going to take a while, and let's investigate it. Thank you.
Councillor Harvey, you have a question?
No, I'd like to speak. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cornish, for bringing some sense into this motion, because yes, it does say a budget bid. We're not committing any money, so I fully support this, and thank you for your rationale.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? If not, I'll go back to Councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for your input. And yes, this is our job to actually start to strategically plan problem areas in our community. Councillor Wilkins has outlined some of the challenges in this area that we know we've got. It's very congested. It's got huge volumes of older people, younger people, shoppers. We've got businesses, and we've got a horrible T intersection where Tusmore intersects with Kensington Road. We desperately need lights there, and we need them to be synchronised with Shipsters Road. We've already had some traffic management and traffic planning to show us what's possible, but we need to move to the next stage and do a budget bid in the next budget cycle, mainly, as has been pointed out, so that we are then in a position to get an idea of what it can look like, but so we can attract state and federal funding down the track. So whether it takes 3, 4, 5, 8 years, I think we need to be doing our job and start to plan what we've identified as a really problem area. So hopefully you'll support this. Thank you.
I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion's carried. Division has been called, so please raise your hand if you're in favour of the motion. Councillor Cornish, Harvey, Hallett, Dawes, Jennings, Wilkins and Davey. Against? Councillor Hubel and Jones. Now we move to 11.6, Councillor Jones, page 142.
Thank you, Mayor. Colleagues, I would like to move the officer's recommendation. Look, this is Councillor Hubel, I think, initially moved the motion that we start to investigate and codify how we manage Beaumont Common. And it's been an interesting process over the past couple of years. Beaumont Common, there's no doubt about it, excites a lot of passion from residents, and there have been, you know, diverse views about what we should do with the common. And I think I thank the staff and Mr. Kant and Mr. Schroeder for leading this process. And look, we didn't quite come up with a plan, but we have come up with some principles. And I think, you know, it's sometimes said that you've come to the right result when everybody's unhappy. So, look, I'd probably leave it there and say, look, I think this is probably the best result we can hope for. And I hope you'll support the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Hubel, are you seconding?
Yes, thank you,
Do you wish to speak now or later?
Not at this moment, no, thank you.
Councillor Dawes.
Yes, I just want to make sure that Council is aware what these principles are. And they're on page 175, attachment 3. And looking and reading through those, I'm going to ask administration, what are the main, I've read them all and they seem quite reasonable to me, but what are the main changes from what we are doing now? I think that's the question I have.
Through Madam Mayor, I think the key change that came back through the process and is reflected in these principles is the respect for the green open spaces, and our practices will aim to respect that going forward. There will be a prudent management of trees going forward, and respecting that the plantings that occur won't impinge on any green space going forward. And if there's any removals to occur, that'll occur when trees come to the end of their natural lives rather than pulling out ahead of time. The use of mulch is mentioned as in one of the principles in light of the fact that it'll be minimised and it will only be used where it's to do with tree conservation purposes. And we'll have a focus on ensuring that it doesn't impinge any further onto green areas. The existing biodiversity sites will be managed with a view that they won't be expanded any further going forward. Again, out of respect for the wish to maintain the grassed areas. And the last point I'll just reflect on, the grass areas are specifically mentioned in these principles in line with what I've mentioned before, but it needs to be acknowledged that because we don't have irrigation, some of those areas may not be as green as some of our community members may like, but given the cost of irrigation, it was deemed that we wouldn't pursue it at this time. So through Madam Mayor, I think that's a reasonably succinct summary of the principles. Thank you.
Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, CEO, for that. My question is regarding that almost $300,000 irrigation. Will that be coming back to Council during a budget bid cycle, if and when, or is there a estimated time frame when we're looking to include that in a budget, forward budget?
Madam Mayor, I might just refer that to Mr Cant.
Through your worship, we don't have a time frame at this stage, but we'll consider that in the next revision of the asset management plans and long-term financial plans. We'll ensure that's considered as part of the long-term planning for the site.
Is there anyone else? Councillor Day.
Thank you, Mayor. I support the management principles that have been outlined, and thank you, Councillor Dawes, for drawing them to our attention for our focus. I really do. I don't think we should interfere too much with the common. It's absolutely beautiful, unique parcel of land, a very special parcel of land. I just love walking it. I love the fact that there's minimal advertising. It's as natural a part of Burnside as we could possibly have. But I would love to see it irrigated, because as we're getting hotter and urban warming is increasing, I worry that we're going to be able to keep the trees and grass and biodiversity sites there without any irrigation. So I'm happy that we have a budget bid as soon as possible to, I think that's really important to maintain this site, for us to consider that. Thank you.
Councillor Wilkins.
Thank you. I'm very happy to support this motion. As a board member of the National Trust, I'm really happy that we are showing that we do care about this space that was gifted by Davenport in 1849, and it is a significant parcel of natural forest with some exotic trees as well. There's a special oak tree there, which is just beautiful. But I would also like to see, when we're doing this plan and actually spending some extra money, we do have some comfortable garden seating, so when people are walking through this space and enjoying it and want to sit and actually be in the space, could we have some, not 1849 garden seating, but English-style garden seating, which is comfortable? We've got an excellent example. They know it's coming. But we have an excellent example, and it would look fantastic. Just a few of them in this space to complement the ancient common space that it is in Beaumont. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? If not, I shall go back to, no, sorry, Councillor Jennings, you just made it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to support this. I'm 6 of one, half a dozen the other with the irrigation. We live in a changing world, and in the winter we get a lot of water. In the summer we used to get not so much water, but things are changing, and who knows what's going to be in the next 10 years. So let's get this moving and keep this beautiful, pristine, open jewel of Burnside's jewel in Burnside's crown. Thank you.
Councillor Hubel, are you wishing to speak? You did second.
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
Then I will go back to the original mover, who was Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, just one more thing further to Councillor Dawes' question. I think the other important thing is not just what's changed, is that it's written down, is that there's a physical document that people will be able to point to and say, this is how the council is going to manage the lands, because there were some differences of opinion about whether the council had secret agendas for what they were going to do with the common, and now it's written down in black and white exactly what's going to be done with it. So, look, I hope you support the motion.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Now we move to item number 11.9, page 214, and that's also Councillor Jones.
Yeah, I've got an alternative motion. That council withdraws the climate change policy as provided look, I'll speak. Colleagues, I don't expect to win this debate, but this has got nothing to do with council. This is an issue for the Commonwealth. This is why people out there think that councils are stuffed full of loony left greenies who waste ratepayers' money talking about issues that have got nothing to do with council. Now, you can think climate change is important. Look, I happen not to. I think climate change is caused by the sun, always has been, always will be. I don't believe in catastrophic anthropogenic global warming. No, that's my view. You may disagree with it, but the point is this has got nothing to do with us. Like various other Commonwealth and state political issues, it's got nothing to do with us. We should stick to what we are told to do by the state government. We've been given the authority to manage things at a local level that we can manage properly, because you wouldn't want the state government to be managing parks. You wouldn't want state government to be managing footpaths, because if you had some bureaucrat sitting in Victoria Square managing Hazelwood Park, it would be a total disaster. And soon enough, they'd be selling everything off. So it's great that some things are done at a local level, but climate change is not one of those things that the state government has said, Burnside Council, we need you to have a policy on climate change. So, look, how long have I got?
Stop.
Maybe I'll speak, because at least then we'll have had 3 minutes of common sense in this chamber, when we're not talking about spending $800,000 on a project that we may never do. That seems like a colossal waste of money. Spending money on fixing climate change that we have absolutely no power or ability to change. So let's bin it, and let's have the ratepayers think that there are some sensible people running Burnside Council. So I hope you'll support the motion.
I seek a seconder. If there's no seconder, the motion lapses and I seek a new motion. Councillor Cornish?
Happy to go with the officer's recommendation,
Thank
Your
you.
Worship.
Are you going to speak any further? Thank you. Councillor Hubel, do you wish to speak?
I will on this one, thank you, Your Worship. I think this is a great policy for us to have, and I take Councillor Jones's point about distribution of powers amongst levels of government. But I think something that sits with local government is a level of advocacy and leadership for the community. And climate change trends, one of the most alarming things is sporadic rainfall. So we are increasingly more vulnerable to flooding and periods of drought. Certainly in the Beaumont ward, the Waterfall Gully Road is constantly under threat from flooding threats, as is the Hills Face zone for bushfires. So I think that, climate trends, even, weather trends, if that's where we want to sit, are meaning that, the implications in our backyard are quite dire. So I think we do have a role to play, and I think every single organisation in the world has a role to play in this. It does impact everyone, even if it's just mitigation, protecting ourselves. Design guidelines that mean that when we redesign the Civic Centre, it is done to accommodate emergency accommodation if there's a power outage in a heat wave. So we can accommodate, the safety of residents. Those sorts of principles need to be important in our thinking moving forward. So that's why I think this policy is still important to have.
Anyone else wish to speak? I'm going to just say something before I go back to the mover, and that is that the declaration of a climate emergency that this council made in 2019 was leading, and only 2 other councils at the time were brave enough to make that decision. And it has been the reason why, and the driving force behind why this council has shown leadership in environmental sustainability ever since that. It drives the actions that we take every day in terms of decision making, anywhere in relation to putting solar panels on the swimming pool building or driving the changes to electricity. So this, we have to have, this policy is consistent with that declaration. Now I'll go back to Councillor Cornish.
Thank you, Worship. I do hope you support this. I've obviously a very different view than Councillor Jones. I do believe that we do need to have this policy. It will affect residents. I can tell you right now, if we're a councillor in 40 years' time and no one can go outside and in our parks because they're dried dust bowls or, you know, whatever, or flooded, I think we certainly would be hearing about it in terms of why didn't you do something? And this is one step. It's not the be-all and end-all, I get that, but hey, everyone's got to do their part. It's for the common good, and every part in society has to you know, lift up their sleeves and get in there and do a little bit of work to actually protect us against this in the future. So although I don't have kids, I'm doing this for your kids and your grandkids. So I hope you support the motion.
All those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Division has been called. Could you please raise your hand if you're supporting the motion? Councillor Davey, Wilkins, Jennings, Hubel, Dawes, Hallett, Harvey and Cornish. Now we move to Councillor Harvey, 11.10, page 226. You have questions, I assume.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question, please. I'm just interested to see
Can you just move the report, move it first and then you ask a question?
Move it.
As stated on the document?
No, I'd like to ask a question.
Yeah, no, but you are moving the motion as recommended.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just have a question, thank you. And that is, have you actually responded to Mayor Moira Ware regarding violence against women as a national emergency?
No, I haven't, because, except personally, I did attend the funeral of Helen Oxenham, who was the leader in South Australia in terms of domestic violence. I did attend that funeral, but that was, and I spoke to Moira Ware at that time, but I have not written officially because that's why I've put this letter in here. It is up to you to direct me. If you wish me to support, then it needs to come as a motion from this group, and hence I have not replied formally. Do you have any other questions? All right. Councillor Dawes, you seconding? All right. Anyone else wishes to speak? Otherwise I shall... Councillor Harvey, do you wish to speak again?
Sorry, can I just get in there?
Yes.
Do we have to amend the motion if you actually want us to give you the permission to reply?
I'm not leading this. If you want me to respond, I will respond. But I've provided the letter for your information. It is up to you to tell me if you would like me to formally respond.
Or would it be more appropriate to bring it back at the next council meeting as a motion, perhaps? Okay.
Yeah, through Madam Mayor, to save us trying to do this on the run, I'm happy to bring it back to next council meeting with certain wording.
Brilliant,
that we can
thank
consider.
you. Cheers.
I would prefer it that way too, because it needs to be done more formally than that. I don't want to rush it either. So, but I did put it in here. It's really up to you to direct me in this. All right. So if there's no one else who wishes to speak, and you don't wish to speak again, councillor Harvey, then I'll put the motion. Those in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Now, the next one is 11.11, page 235, and councillor Davey.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm moving in accordance with the recommendation. And I just had a couple of questions. One of the main ones is in relation to, on page 240, the swimming centre upgrade. Yes, it starts at page 240. There have been, I believe, some delays in completion of the work we're doing for the pool heater upgrade. So I just wondered how that's going, what we're doing in terms of advising people, because if it's a 2-month delay in opening the pool, how are we advising people? Will the cafe reopen? And have any trees needed to be removed for this work? And then I have a couple of other questions, if I may.
Through Madam Mayor, I might refer that to Mr Cant, who's been the lead on this project.
Through the Mayor, I'll respond to your last one first. Pleasingly, no trees have been required to be removed. The delay, which we'll actually provide the ward councillors when we meet with them on Thursday this week to go into further detail. That's been due to a requirement to the redesign of the slab for the building, and the key intention of that is to ensure the retention of all the trees on site, particularly the large significant tree just to the rear of the plant room. We are expecting a delay, and we're just finalising the programme with the contractor just now. We don't expect it to go too far into the summer. It's likely that we will reopen late November. If all things go well, we will look to do that earlier if possible, but we have put a little bit of contingency in there to make sure that we've given ourselves enough time to complete it appropriately and then get the swimming centre presented and set up well for people returning. We're actually working on a communication plan just now for all key stakeholders, and I expect that announcement to come out later this week.
Thank you, Mr Cant. You got further questions, councillor Davey?
Thank you, yes. Is there any reason why we couldn't open the pool without the heating? Has that been considered?
Mr Kent? Through Madam Mayor.
Through the worship, essentially, while the contract's in place, it's essentially the builder site until it's handed back over to us. To ensure appropriate safety for our staff as well as the members of the public attending, we need to ensure that all of the building compound and everything is completed beforehand. It's more than just the heating. It's obviously connected to a filtration system and also the chemical balances as well. So we need to make sure that the plant room is up fully functional before we allow people to come back in.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you. I just have a question, please. I'm interested what actually eventuated from your meeting with Minister Catherine King on the freight bypass, please.
Through Madam Mayor, happy to give an update on that. It was a very productive meeting. Minister King advised us that the federal government was in a position where they were unable to allocate the construction funds because they didn't have a clear picture of what the project was going to cost. So they've allocated approximately $13 million to enable a full project costing to be put together. And once that's complete, that will then enable the federal government to put that in their long-term plans. So that was a little step we weren't aware of before we went to Canberra. So it was nice to have that clarified. We are certainly looking to, if I may just expand on that a bit, Madam Mayor, for the benefit of the Chamber, we're looking to keep our advocacy efforts going. I am shortly going to write to the LGA to resubmit our proposed motion that the LGA declined, or GAROC declined at the last AGM. I've been working with Clinton Jury, the CEO of the LGA now, and he has a much greater understanding.
How long has it taken him?
I'm relatively assured that it will be supported by GAROC. Should we resubmit? Because they are now extremely cognizant of the importance of this matter. So we will continue these conversations. Thank you.
Can I just add that we also presented last Thursday night at the ERA meeting the documentation that we took to Canberra and enlisted the support of the other ERA councils in the working towards this, getting the greater freight route. And I also spoke with Steve Shearer, who's the president of the road, the head of the Road Transport Association, and he has provided me with a letter of support that I have also forwarded to the other councils in ERA, and Chris has a copy of that as well, so that will also be going to Gowrock with our submission. Anything else? Yes. We need a seconder. Councillor Wilkins, are you seconding?
Oh, I'm happy to.
You're next on the list, so it makes it easy.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you can speak as well.
Yes, and also keep our federal member in the loop as well, advocating on our behalf of all councils.
Yes, when we met with James Stevens 2 weeks ago, we kept him we updated him and Jack Batty in relation to where we're headed with that. We do keep them in constant.
Because there is a federal election coming up soon.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Yes, further question, if I may, to the staff. Thank you very much for this comprehensive report. I'm interested in, and I've obviously missed an info doc relating to the way South Australian Power Networks manage our trees in our streetscapes. And every time I drive down Glimburn Road, I want to get the arborist out to shape the trees properly. It's appalling. Are they going to do it? Are they going to pay for an arborist to actually prune the trees appropriately, not just gouge out the centre of the trees all the time? Have we had any response from them that makes sense? Because I did hear them saying on radio this week that the time has been extended if we don't have any response into SA Power Networks, how we feel about the pruning of trees, how we're going to manage the risk, what if the trees fall over because they're unstable, etc., etc. But I will find that info doc that apparently has been circulated in August, which I've missed. So thank you for reminding me. Any comment, I'd be happy to hear.
Certainly. Through the Mayor, this really is, from my perspective, as a follow-on from the submission we made at the parliamentary inquiry into management of the tree canopy. And if we reflect back on that, SAPN were given quite a talking to from the panel and actually asked to smarten up their act. This submission we've put in really consolidates the message that we were giving at that opportunity, but further clarifies some of the specifics which you've just mentioned, Councillor Wilkins. We haven't had a response back yet. I'm assuming they're going to wait until they've seen all the responses from their respective bodies and then come out.
Destroying our assets.
Quite correct.
Our trees.
Quite correct. One of the other key components that was the subject of our submission was talking about the suitability of the species that they were requesting to go into trees. We're not in agreement with that.
Oh, good.
One of the key components, they're essentially talking about not being able to plant trees. They were talking about small bushes, for example, whereas we are interested in achieving a tree canopy growth. And knowing the challenge that we have on private land, we need to maximise these spaces. So that was the other pillar of our submission.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Corn.
Thank you, Worship. Another question to the administration. The bin trial, early days, but do we have an idea of the number of people asking to opt out?
Through the Mayor, I might refer that to Dr. Phil to give us an update on, through Mr. Camp.
Good question.
Through the Mayor, we're having a terrific response so far from the community. There has been an initial delivery of a compostable kitchen caddy with compostable bags and information, and we've had a very small number of community members opt out, less than 1%, and about 1% upsized their bins. But it's still early days. We expect more people to contact council once the trial actually begins. We're still just advertising. Staff have been out to all the businesses in the area and talked to them individually, and we've had a large number of upsizes. We've had businesses realising they have not taken up council on all the services we provide, like organic bins for businesses, so we've had some good outcomes there as well. And we've had a very low number of opt-outs and quite a large number of upsizes. The opt-outs have mainly been businesses that require waste services like medical businesses and education services.
Councillor Davey, you have a question?
Thank you. Yes, I've just got a couple more ones in line with it's to do with paragraph 36, the Kensington District Cricket Club, the new building. When is that? I believe there's a new design for the club rooms, and I just wonder when that's coming to council as we're being involved in the final design. Thanks. And then I've got another query.
Yeah, through you, Madam Mayor, I don't believe it's coming back to council for final approval, but I'll just seek clarification. Mr. Kent.
Through your worship, yeah, we are working in line with the council resolution. We will be preparing an information document shortly for all council members that compares the changes since you last saw it. The architects did take on a lot of the feedback that was provided at the last information session with council members. We've taken the ward councillors through the designs, and we're actually working on a few responses from some of the ward councillors just now, which we'll share with all. And we will provide further updates, including the designs through the CEO report, but we'll continue through that process as per the council resolution.
Thanks. So we'll get an info doc that we can provide comment on. Thank you. And my final question relates to the trees that we received a state government help with, some advanced trees, to replace those vandalised trees. I couldn't find where they have all gone. So I don't know if I'm not looking in the right place or whatever. Can I just get some idea of the locations of them across Burnside? Thank you.
Through Madam Mayor, I'll just refer that to Mr. Kent. I know they've been planted in various locations. Would you like to take on notice, Mr. Kent, or you've got a response?
I've got a partial response, and I'll provide the rest through an information document, which will probably be helpful. They have been planted throughout the city, as the CEO has identified. I think the majority are within the ward that they were removed from. However, we are looking at intramaps as well as the Urban Forest Interactive site to specifically map those for council, and we will share that via information document.
Councillor Hart.
Thank you. I just have a comment. Page 250, Kensington Park should be Kensington Gardens, just a typo. Thank you. Number 7, page 250. Thank you.
Councillor Hallett.
Question, please, with the administration on bin collection frequencies trial. At paragraph 51, it talks about a second drop-in session, and I was wondering when the second drop-in session is going to be.
Through Madam Mayor, just refer that to Mr. Kent.
We're just confirming for you now. Just give us 2 seconds.
Did I see that on Facebook today?
It's definitely been advertised, and you have been informed. We'll definitely provide you an answer tonight before we leave today, and we'll also share that again via email tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Then I shall go back to Councillor Day. All right, then I shall put the motion. Those in favour? Those against? Motion is carried. Right, there is no other information, no other items on the agenda. So unless anyone has any other business, I will close this meeting at 8:25.
I've got my
Oh, sorry, councillor Davey.
Some urgent business. It's not urgent, but it is, if I could just acknowledge, in my ward I have actually, Kensington Park ward, we actually have 2 Olympians. And I wanted to tonight, just through council, acknowledge and thank them for all of their efforts. For Sophie Lynn, who grew up in Leabrook and is now at college in the US, and training in the US. She's a triathlete and competed in all those arduous conditions in Paris, in the swimming in the river, cycling, and came through and was 21st in the triathlon. And the other athlete...
12th. She was actually 12th.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's great. And the other athlete, who you probably see training around our streets, wonderful streets constantly, is Izzy Bat-Doyle, also from Leabrook, who ran in the 5,000 metres. And she has a running business in Nord. So congratulations to them, both exemplary women athletes, and wonderful to see them competing in Paris. Thank you.
And we had another one who's in Burnside, who was in the rowing competition. I've actually identified all those in my last 2 Burnside highlights videos. And of course, we also have the lady who represented Australia in the 1956 Olympics, who came along to the Staff's Burnside Olympics, and she was an 80-yard hurdler who won a medal at the 56 Melbourne Olympic Games and also the Commonwealth Games. So, yep. Another one?
No, Madam Mayor, just to confirm the session that Councillor Hallett was asking about, it'll be held on the 31st of August at Bradman Park, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. Bradman Park?
Yeah, it's not Bradman Park.
It must have been a typo. Bradman Courts. At what time? 1:30 to 3:30. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Now, if there's nothing further, then I will close the meeting at 8:27 p.m. and thank you for your attendance.